Alright, so today I want to give you an update on some of my ball python hatchlings. I actually have two of them in the incubator that I need to pull out and put in my hatchling rack. I actually have to give those two names too. They're brand new hatchlings without names, and usually right when I put them up in the hatchling rack I give them some names. And one of them was the one that we actually had a problem with the umbilical cord, and that one I thought for sure was dead. As a matter of fact, it actually came out of the egg and it laid kind of upside down with the kind of the chin of the head facing straight up out of the egg. It was really bad. I actually had two of them that were wrapped in umbilical cords, and one of them died and one of them I didn't think he was going to make it. And as soon as I cut that umbilical cord, it seems like he perked right up because it kind of freed the circulation. I think it was just like squeezing the circulation on the bottom half of his body, and as soon as it kind of released that, it seems like he's doing pretty good. So I have hope for that one. And then the other one is a bamboo combo, really awesome. And then I kind of wanted to show you one of my other ones. I think I might have a visual desert ghost. I'm probably pretty much 99% sure that it's a visual desert ghost, which changes a lot of things here in my breeding operations as far as the genetics. And I don't know what Bobby's doing, crawling down to the floor. What are you doing, you crazy snake? So I want to jump over and I want to show you some of these amazing hatchlings. Alright, so this is the first box I want to show you. This is the hatchling that had the umbilical cord wrapped around the belly. I thought for sure this guy was dead when he actually came halfway out the egg, and his head was upside down. He was not looking very good at all. And it looks like he's doing pretty good now. I actually put him on this paper towel. We can take a look at him a little bit closer. Looks like he's doing pretty good. Take a look at that guy. Kind of a little bit groggy from his whole experience. I think it was like a near-death experience for him. It was pretty crazy. And as soon as I got him out of that umbilical cord situation, seems like he perked up pretty good. And this one kind of looks like, it almost looks like a calico to me. Can you kind of see kind of a wiped out pattern up on the sides? This was my bamboo calico crossed with my pastel. I don't think it has pastel in there, but I do think just based on the pattern on the side, it looks like it could have some calico in the mix. It seems like maybe a low white calico because it doesn't seem like it's that high of a white, but it does kind of have a jumbled up pattern compared to like a normal ball python. So that is pretty cool. And I actually kind of made a hybrid tub system. I'm going to show you this tub that I made for him. So essentially what I want to do, I want to keep the humidity in the tub high enough to where he can shed out, but I want to keep him on a dry paper towel. So let me move this to the side and I'll kind of show you kind of the setup that I have for him. This is my hatchling tub that I'm going to put in my rack, and I just set it up. It's an ARS 1039, so I have a little disposable like a deli cup up here for water and a little bit of coconut husk for humidity, and then just a dry paper towel, and I can put him right on the paper towel. And this is like a 90-degree hot spot, so I'll probably just leave him in here until he sheds out, and then I'll probably take the paper towel out. Usually what I do is I don't really put a paper towel in there, but I definitely want to keep him clean and dry, and especially in that navel area, so you know he fully recovers 100%. So normally I pick a name for my snakes out of this jar. Actually, all these names in this jar were suggested names from my comments under some of my videos. If you want to add one to the comment, you can add it under any video and I'll cut it out and I'll put it in this jar and we'll name our snakes. And I prefer gender neutral names because I don't figure out the males and females till a little bit later on. So I've been going kind of with gender neutral as far as putting the names in the jar. And in this case, I'm actually not going to pick a name out of the jar. Someone suggested a name for this one in the comments section, and this is what I'm gonna call that little guy. Take a look at the label I made. This is Umbilicus, little baby Umbilicus, and then it's C0220. This is the second clutch and this is a calico. Pretty awesome. Alright, so here is the other box. This is actually from the same clutch. And believe it or not, this was a 10-egg clutch. All the snakes were out of the eggs, except for these last three. Those two with the umbilical cord issue, and then this one. This is actually, this is actually what I think I was shooting for. Out of all those 10 eggs, this I think it has all three genes in it. I think this is a pastel bamboo calico. Pretty awesome. I actually had one before and I sold it, and I was trying trying to pick another one, and I'll probably keep this one if it definitely has pastel in it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell the pastel and the bamboos, and sometimes you can see just a little bit, maybe just a little bit of yellow coming in on this guy, and sometimes the top of the head will be a little bit washed out compared to a normal bamboo with the addition of the pastel in there. So the pastel, I'd say, is still kind of a question mark. I'm maybe 50% sure that this one has pastel in it, but I think I'm definitely going to keep this one, whether it's a male or a female, and use it for a breeder. If it's a breeder, I can actually probably, I'm thinking once this one gets up to size, if it's a male, I may unload my other one, my calico bamboo, which is really awesome, and upgrade to this one. And if it's a female, I'll just add her to my collection for, you know, as a good breeder. Of course, with the female, it usually takes, you know, at least 2 to 3 years before they get up to speed. But these bamboos are really awesome. Take a look at how reduced the pattern is. Super reduced. Look at how beautiful that girl is. Pretty awesome snake right there. And these are, you know, a lot of bamboo combos, especially like the calicos, they're really kind of hard to find. There's not a whole lot of bamboo calicos that are out there. So what I'm gonna do is I want to pick a name for this guy out of this hat and see if we can come up with a name for this guy. Let's see. This one, oh, this is a good name for this guy. This one is named River. Alright, so here is my typical hatchling setup. I usually don't use the paper towel in the back, and I usually bring the coconut husk back just a little bit further, so it kind of gives them just a little. As a matter of fact, usually what I'll do is I'll even bring it back further, kind of bring it all the way and just give them one little spot right here, right on the hot spot. And then if they go to the bathroom, they'll crawl up on this and I can just spot clean real quick. And the problem is if you actually have the coconut husk all the way to the back and then they sit on top of this, a lot of times they're not at 90 degrees up on the coconut husk, and then if you try to crank up the temperature of the hot spot to kind of adjust for the insulation, if they crawl under it and then end up on a hotter hot spot than 90 degrees, it's not really good for the snake. So I just pretty much, on all my snakes, I just kind of clear a little spot right there, and then even if they make a mess up here, it's really easy just to spray it and spot clean it really good. And then this one, I actually made a label for it. This one, his or her name is River, and usually what I do is I put all the genes in the mix. So this is a pastel bamboo calico from the second clutch of 2020. And then, you know, usually I kind of look at these, I kind of look at them for usually 2 or 3 weeks, and I keep looking at them, seeing if I can, you know, a lot of times after they shed out and then they brighten up a little bit, sometimes it's completely different from a brand new hatchling that hasn't shed out. And sometimes I'll go back and change my mind as far as some of the identification on a lot of my hatchlings. Alright, so here is a hatchling I wanted to show you. Take a look at this beauty. That is screaming. That is from a previous clutch. As a matter of fact, I couldn't figure out what this one was at the beginning, and it started getting brighter and brighter, and look, it's getting some weight. It's actually eaten 3 times right now. We named this one Fang, and at first I thought this was a pastel, maybe a pastel inchy, and then as it grew and matured, it really, look at how bright it is. Super, super bright. So this is, I thought it was 100% het desert ghost, and I'm thinking for sure, I'm like 99% sure this is a visual desert ghost. This is what I think is a pastel desert ghost. It may have inchy in the mix, may or may not have inchy, but look at this guy. He's, you know, after 3 meals, they start looking around for some more meals. They're like, give me another mouse. I've been feeding him live mouse hoppers. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to eat my thumb or something at this point. Usually you get like 6 or 7 meals in them, and they just start biting everything, going crazy. As a matter of fact, it's probably good to actually work with them at this age, so they don't think that your hand is something to eat. But this really changes everything. If, as a matter of fact, if this is really a visual desert ghost, which I think it has to be. Look at how bright this thing is. And if this is, that means that my female is 100% het for desert ghost, which changes everything, which is pretty awesome. So let me kind of show you some of the progression as far as what I think is going on now, that I think this is a visual desert ghost. Look at that beautiful snake. All right, so believe it or not, this is actually the mom, the mother of that really super bright snake. Pretty amazing. This one has calico and pastel in the mix, which is where all of my calico came from in my whole collection, which is kind of interesting. I actually bought this, it was one of my original breeders that I bought as an adult over on Morphmarket. Laid a couple clutches of eggs over the years, and let me tell you, that is one of the reasons you should keep track of every single snake, because everything can change. And I was breeding stuff to this for years, and then I realized just this year that it looks like, you know, based on that, if that's actually a visual desert ghost, which I'm 99% sure it is, this girl now is 100% het desert ghost. I didn't even think that she had any hets in her at all. I just kind of randomly, you know, the funny thing is I grabbed my visual desert ghost and I bred it to this girl, and I thought, you know, I probably could have bred something else to this girl to get some better combos instead of just het desert ghost. So I kind of regretted doing the pairing after I kind of first did it, and then I thought, all right, I'll just do it 1 year and then I'll pair up with something else. And then come to find out, it looks like this girl is actually het for desert ghost. So you know what that means? Next year I might breed my visual desert ghost back to this girl again to get some more desert ghosts, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so take a look at this one. This is kind of an interesting chain of events here, because if that pastel calico really is 100% het desert ghost, then this one is 50% het desert ghost, which is pretty cool. This is actually a bamboo calico, and look at how beautiful they get when they age and mature. Really super impressive, and you don't even realize how awesome they are when they're small until they get some age on them, and they just look absolutely stunning, especially if they have pastel in there, and then all these bright whites turn into a bright yellow. Really amazing combination. And kind of the interesting thing about this is that this is actually the father of the first two that we looked at. The one that was wrapped up in the umbilical cord, umbilicus, we named that one, was actually produced from this one. So that means that umbilicus, and then the last one we looked at, that was the bamboo. As a matter of fact, that was actually the bamboo. So that bamboo is now possible het desert ghost, that bamboo pastel calico, which is pretty amazing. So you see this whole progression. So really we don't know. It's possible het desert ghost until we actually prove this one out to see if this one is indeed het desert ghost. So there's a 50% chance that this one is het desert ghost because it came from the pastel calico female, and that's where this guy got his calico from. So it kind of changes my whole collection and really what I want to breed in the upcoming years. So what I really want to do is I want to prove this one out. And if this one proves to be desert ghost, het for desert ghost, then that would mean the ones we first looked at, umbilicus, would be 50% until we actually bred that one and then proved it was 100%. It gets a little bit confusing trying to chase down the genetics. Alright, so take a look at this one. This one's really starting to color up quite a bit. And let me tell you, when you start producing these new gene combos that you've never produced before, you can be really wrong at the beginning. I was thinking this one might be cinnamon. I was kind of throwing out all these different things on all these different combinations because it just hatched out and it hadn't even brightened up. It hadn't shed out. And take a look at that, how beautiful that is. So this one actually came from my visual desert ghost male, which has pastel and enchi in it, crossed with my pastel desert ghost. It's actually 100% het desert ghost now. My pastel calico, 100% het desert ghost. It just keeps going on and on because now we know, exactly what's going on. So this one I think got all the genes. I think this one is a super pastel enchi calico, 100% het desert ghost. Look at how beautiful that is. And this one has also had 3 meals too, looking really good. And you can definitely tell, now that they're kind of lightening them up, you can definitely tell that, which ones could be visual desert ghosts and which ones are probably not. It's kind of hard to produce in some of these combos, and just watching them change and some of the stuff that you've never produced before. A lot of times, you're guessing on camera and then people are like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's obvious because I've never really produced this stuff before. And let me tell you, it's definitely a learning experience breeding ball pythons. But look at how beautiful that is. That is amazing amazing snake. As a matter of fact, I'll probably hold on to this one too. I'll probably hold on to quite a few of these and kind of get more into the calicos and the desert ghosts. These are pretty awesome snakes. All right, so take a look at this one. How beautiful. It's getting really super bright, getting some weight on it. And I started thinking, I wonder if this one is Desert Ghost too, but I don't think it is. I think this is just a really crazy super pastel. And it's kind of interesting watching these guys age and mature. And I think I'll probably hold on to this one too, because everything I breed to this will be pastel. And then if I breed a visual Desert Ghost to it, half the offspring would be pastel Desert Ghosts, which is really one of the things I'm really trying to go after and make a lot of pastel Desert Ghosts. Let me tell you, if you had a bunch of pastel Desert Ghosts in your collection, you could really impress people. It's probably one of the most impressive combos that I've ever seen in ball pythons, and it's a pretty simple combination, just one copy of the pastel and two copies of the recessive Desert Ghost. Look at how beautiful that snake is. And this one ate 3 meals. They've been chowing down on live mice. As a matter of fact, I've been feeding these guys every 3 or 4 days because my mice are, if I wait too long, my mice are going to be too big and they won't be able to eat them. So I've been kind of doubling up on my mice just to kind of use up my mice. And that's kind of the interesting part about breeding, is trying to balance the supply and the feeding for these guys. Look at how beautiful, super bright snake. Some of these super pastels are just really amazing. So here's a pastel from that same clutch after 3 meals, looking really fantastic. It's amazing how bright that they become just after a few meals, and you put a little bit of age on them. It hasn't really been that long since I hatched them out, and it's really, they've gone through quite the transformation from when they've hatched to this age. Pretty amazing. This guy is doing really good. This one is 100% het Desert Ghost, just a straight pastel, no other genes in the mix. So here's another one I wanted to show you. This is actually one of my hatchlings from last year that, as a matter of fact, I actually sold this and I'm still waiting to ship it out. This is a spider. Look at how beautiful that is. Spiders are absolutely magnificent. And the kind of the weird thing about spiders, there's some people against the spiders because of the potential head wobble that they have. And the spiders that I produced here in my collection, none of them really have any head wobble at all. Really super stable head on all my spiders. And I've actually seen some with really bad head wobbles. I think just the few that have a severe problem kind of give all spiders a bad name. But look at how beautiful they are, almost as gold as a pinstripe, and it kind of has this crazy spider web pattern right down the top of the snake. It has really crazy, almost like calico coming up the sides. And this is just one gene. You breeded something else, half the offspring come out as spiders. And a lot of people are actually getting out of spiders. Not a lot of people breed them. And as a matter of fact, I go to reptile shows and they're like, hey, I want a spider. Can you make one for me? And I produce just a couple every now and then. I don't produce them every year, just for the few people that want spiders. And it'd be awful to actually lose the gene because, you know, some people are really against it or completely ban the spider. It is a really amazing snake. Alright, so there you have it. That is an update on my ball python hatchlings. Doing pretty good this year, having a pretty good breeding year. And kind of the interesting thing is, I always imagined, you know, if you started ball pythons and started a big breeding operation, kind of what you would go through at the beginning. And I would imagine, kind of based on what I'm going through, that you'd probably spend half your time trying to figure out the identification of most of your hatchlings, especially before they shed out. I would think it'd be really difficult to try to figure out which genes are in all your hatchlings till you really got the hang of it. It's kind of one of the biggest challenges that I go through here breeding ball pythons with just a really small collection. I don't have them, and I produce maybe about 100 hatchlings a year, so I'm kind of still on a small scale, and I don't have a whole lot of genes. Could you imagine having like 200 genes and mixing stuff together with like 5 or 6 genes? It could be, I'd imagine it could be pretty complicated identifying hatchlings. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.